and launch our polls just to get to know our audience as usual. And the first one has to do with your role in research. So what role in research do you serve here in our research community? And we have, while everybody's answering that, I will go ahead and just go over our agenda today. We have speakers from the Office of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement to give us some updates. Jamil Mallory is here to speak with us today. Trisha and Haley are going to talk about the Workforce Development Program updates. Heike is going to give us an update on the IND and IDE office. And then Natasha and Matt are going to discuss the Research Studies website and newsletter updates. So I'll go ahead and end this poll now and share the results. And then I can see that people are still joining. So we'll just do one more poll while everybody gets settled and joins the meeting. So how long have you been involved in clinical research at the university? I'll give everybody just a moment to answer that. Looks like we are at about 75 participants, and joining is starting to slow down. So it looks like we've got a considerable representation from the folks that have been with the university for 5 or more years. Lots of experience in the room. All right. So without further ado, I will go ahead and pass it off to our first speaker, Jamil Mallory, who is speaking with us about the Office of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement. So Jamil, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Erin, and I want to thank the team for inviting me to this meeting. I am going to share some slides with you all and try not to. I'm going to fly through them and try not to talk at you today, but to open up as much as possible for some dialogue with the time frame that we have here. So I am going to share, if I can find my slides here. There we go. All right, and can you all see my screen?
We can see your screen, but it looks like we're in edit mode, not presentation.
Uh-oh. Let's see here. Let me try to change this. And this may actually, okay, that's not working. Can you all see is it still in presentation mode or edit mode?
It still looks like it's in edit mode.
Okay, let me just stop real quick. And of course, I'm having technical difficulties, but let's see here. Okay, I'm not sure what, because I have this is a new computer I'm working with right now. So I'm going to shut it down. This is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to have a conversation with you all. First of all, my name is Jamil Mallory. I am the Director of Community Data and Strategic Initiatives with the Office of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement. And I've been with the university now for approximately 11 years. By way of family medicine, worked on practice improvement teams, started as a research assistant within the Department of Family Medicine, and have gone on to community engagement initiatives, community-based participatory research initiatives, and I'm now with the Office of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement. My primary role here is to oversee the DEI operations and initiatives throughout the campus. So we work with each of the 6 schools and colleges and our auxiliary business units on various DEI programs, projects, initiatives, trainings, and what have you. What I'm going to do while I'm talking is I'm going to put in the chat our website. I'm going to drop that in there for you all, and my contact information, so we can actually continue the conversation if you so choose to hang out with me and allow me to bug you. And so so DEI in research, and so I really appreciate the team for asking me to come to hang out with you all today, because one of the big topics and pillars of our institution is research, and another one is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so not everyone has lots of work to do. It's never a dull moment on our campus, working with the 3 hospitals and in our schools and colleges. And so sometimes our paths don't always cross. And we're working on programs and initiatives that have those intersections, but it's not a real strategic connection sometimes. And so in essence, that's what the team has brought me here to do today, is to introduce our office to you all, to let you know that we are here to support your initiatives. We know a lot of work that's going on within the NIH right now is leaning towards having a more centered lens around diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our office really is, we're located in the chancellor's office. And so we are working with each of the different DEI departments in the schools and colleges. We have a chancellor's leadership council, which is comprised of approximately 30 plus representatives across the campus from various business units and the 6 schools and colleges. And there are dean appointed DEI liaisons within that council. That is really a small group of folks that are responsible for really making sure that there's synergy with the overall campus and the DEI objectives that's going on within the schools and colleges. So we convene that. That's a once a month meeting that we meet with various individuals and discuss kind of the DEI related topics on the campus. That said, we're also connected with Tom Flegg. Dr. Tom Flegg is one of the representatives on the council, and we're connected with the CREO council also. And so research is definitely something that we have various tentacles in different areas. And a lot of times folks contact us and we'll do a consultation with them to figure out if they're working on a DEI project, in clinical research, basic science research, any aspects of research that they would like, our particular lens or purview, or looking how to at ways that they can, really incorporate DEI into their daily work. Then we will sit down with those individuals and figure out a strategy and really try to make sure that we offer some support services, that there's we have lots of training support that we offer through our what we call our HEAL team, which is our Health, Equity, and Action Lab. So we have a whole team that will actually hang out with you if you're creating, any type of DEI initiatives within your work, that are really there to help you strategize and really there to help you kind of come up with, unique ways in order to do so. So if you go to our website, there's tons of activities going on that we facilitate from our office. We do have some direct programming that we offer. We offer campus-wide training in DEI, from DEI 101 all the way through your more advanced projects and initiatives, and how to really become, centered and grounded in the work of the science of DEI. We also offer a lot of community engagement activities. We're very strategically connected with Aurora and the local municipalities, the public school systems. And so we're helping to build, the next iteration of healthcare professionals, all the way from elementary school on up through grad school. And so we have lots of opportunities to really get involved and connect the work of research to, the practical aspects of social determinants of health and different types of ways to really be in the community. In addition to that, we offer programs and services that really span through research and data. And so we're really trying to leverage data now. We're working on a campus-wide constituent relationship management system, which will integrate with a lot of our legacy systems on campus in order to make more of a strategic alignment to capturing data in a way that we could all leverage and really utilizing the work that we're doing and make some strategic connections that we haven't been able to really make before. And so that initiative is ongoing right now. We hope to start the implementation phase here within the next, I would say, few months or so. And so we're bringing that to the campus as another type of resource that hopefully will be more connected and integrated in our work. So I'm going to shut up there. I know that was a mouthful, and I just want to open it up for any questions from the group. Any brave souls out there?
So can you tell us a little bit more about the consultations that the Health Equity and Action Lab does, particularly related to clinical research projects on campus? Do you work more with folks who are starting up industry-funded projects or more with investigator-initiated research?
Aaron, that's a great question. So we work across the span. So what we try not to do is make assumptions in any of the work that we're doing. We're pretty much an open door. So when someone goes to our website and they schedule a consultation, that's exactly where the conversation starts. It's really our work is to understand what projects and initiatives folks are working on in the research space, and to see what their aspirations are when it comes to DEI. And really to learn how they foresee DEI working within their research projects. And so really initially it's a discovery phase is where we really like to start understanding the work. And then we strategize together in order to come up with some strategic solutions on how to, move things forward. And that's across the spectrum. So that's anywhere from we do work with industry, and big pharma and folks we get consulted with a lot, on down to, PRA work. And so, it really is all over the map.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Other questions? Any mysteries in DEI that you are top of mind? Like, how do I do this? What's this even mean? We're open book. So yeah, any other questions?
Jamil, what would be the first step in contacting your office for a study team or a PI that's just starting research?
Yeah, so I would say the first step would either email me, and we could start there, or you could go to the website and schedule a consultation, and our team will reach out. So either one of those methods really does work. I know sometimes it's hard to really think about what does DEI mean within the clinical research space. And so that's really where we start. Like I said, we try not to make assumptions because it's not a one size fits all the time. DEI is definitely very complicated. It's a social science of sorts, but there's also the practical reality of, institutional research that, where we're talking about structural racism and more complicated, issues that, we like to explore. And so we really want to, learn, more so about the work that's being done first, And then, we'll make some observations. And the goal is to really try to strategize together and how to and leverage each other's relationships in order to continue to move the work forward in the areas of research and in the areas of DEI. And I don't see them as different. I see them as one and the same. Other questions?
Well, if there are any other questions for Jamil, please go ahead and email jamil.mallory@cuanschutz.edu. Jamil, thank you so much for sharing your the information and your contact information about how to get in touch with the office and the types of research that you engage in. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And one tidbit that I forgot to mention, one initiative that we're working on, and if you don't mind, I would like to hang out with you all for a little bit, because workforce development is another very huge topic that we like to explore with folks, and how to incorporate DEI lens and equity into our workforce is there for you all as a support. Thank you for letting me run my mouth to you this morning or this afternoon now. And I appreciate being invited into the space. I hope to connect with you all.
Thanks so much, Jamil.
Sure.
All right, so from there, we will go ahead and pass it over to Tricia Giswaldo and Haley Steinhardt to talk about the Workforce Development Office updates.
Thank you, Erin. All right, is that coming through okay?
Yep, looks good.
Awesome. So first of all, I want to thank everyone in this community who participated in the survey that we sent out last December. Our workforce development update for you today is actually sharing some of, well, all of the results from this survey. And so it's really, we're quite grateful to you all to help to inform some of the work that Haley and I have been doing. And so just to remind you all, we developed this survey as part of the clinical research workforce development to understand more about job satisfaction, career trajectory, and professional development opportunities that the clinical research staff are participating in. We worked with the Evaluation Center to develop and analyze the survey. It was sent out through Qualtrics to an existing listserv. And Haley and I also targeted managers and program directors to share the survey with their staff. It was open between December 15th and January 15th. There were multiple reminders sent out to complete it. We believe that the survey itself ended up in about 8,000 people's inbox. And the final results, we had just over 800 employees that shared feedback throughout the survey. So of those who responded, a majority of them were employed by the School of Medicine, and just over half conduct their research here at the CU Anschutz campus. This pie chart is showing the length of employment for the respondents, with almost 60% of those who responded being employed with the university for less than 5 years. Most of the respondents are in clinical trials. And these are the top 5 reported job duties and responsibilities that the staff conduct. You're seeing a majority of them do data entry, conduct research visits, over just at half are a part of project management, regulatory and IRB, and then 43% of them supervise study teams and individuals. In the assessment of the job satisfaction, we provided specific statements and asked the respondents to grade their satisfaction. 1 being not at all satisfied and 5 being very satisfied. And so we found that the respondents are generally satisfied with their the support they receive from their supervisor and department, their overall job duties, and then the central research support that they receive. Less respondents are satisfied with their promotion and career path and their onboarding experience. And close to 75% of the respondents are not satisfied with their compensation. Whoops, hold on, sorry. So the literature informs us that factors that contribute, there are certain factors that contribute to high staff retention. And so this includes respect, collaboration, and engagement from the PI. So we thought it was really important to assess the satisfaction with the PI. And so these were the 3 statements that were part of the survey. And overall, we found that the respondents are overall pretty satisfied with their relationship with their PI.
So next we wanted to ask about career trajectory. So you can see the different statements that were asked around career trajectory. So 67% agree that their supervisor or department allow them to use work time for professional development. 72% agree that they have a clear understanding of what is expected of them in their role. 56% would encourage others to choose a clinical research profession. However, 48% report not at all or neutral on opportunities to explore professional interests, and 66% report not at all or neutral on being clear about their promotion or career path. In terms of staff retention, the anticipated length of time working as a clinical research professional, you can see 30% said 1 to 2 years, 28% said 3 to 5 years, and then 22% said 10 years or more. It was reported that one of the reasons people were motivated to start in a career in clinical research was to gain experience and advance their career or education. This often meant that they may leave their position as a clinical research professional. So from the survey, we looked at some ideas for recommendations. These slides, again, repeat some of the data that we just showed you, and then we've highlighted what the recommendations are. So the first one is to work towards developing clear pathways to promotional opportunities and career growth. We also wanted to provide additional support, such as structured onboarding and training for clinical research professionals, based on the respondents saying that their promotion or career path opportunities were a little less clear, and their research onboarding experience was not as positive as they hoped for. Some of the next steps that we've been taking with workforce development is to create strong professional relationships and connections. For those of you that may be on campus, on Wednesdays, we have started a clinical research roundtable. The next one is coming up on May 17th from 12 to 1. We also started a Teams community for those who may be more in a hybrid position or a remote position, so that you feel a sense of community and connection with your colleagues in this community. We've also started working with a group of managers to get ideas about onboarding. What could onboarding look like? What could a more structured and supportive onboarding look like? And again, thank you for those of you that have connected with us, talked with us. I know we've visited many departments and groups around campus. For those of you that have come to the roundtable or participated on the teams, it's really great to hear your voice and to be able to listen.
All right, thank you so much for sharing those results, Haley and Tricia. Are there any questions for the research, the workforce development group before we move on?
Yes. So we
Allison,
can
it
post-
says, are we able to get some copies of the presentation? Yes, the slides will be sent out at the end of the session. And then we have some kudos from Stacy Grolnick to Haley and Trisha. I've been super impressed with their leadership in this initiative. I'm excited to be a part of the process. So big kudos there. Thank you.
And please keep an eye out. We have an infographic as well from the survey results that will be coming that you can share with your teams, you can share with your colleagues, the community, with your PIs, and it'll have a lot more of a visual of this kind of distilled information, a little bit more manageable than looking through a whole PowerPoint.
So I've
Excellent.
included
Is that I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, we have a SharePoint and Teams site that I've just put the link in the chat. And so the infographics, the PowerPoint that we just presented will all be posted through the SharePoint. And so we can, anyone in our community is welcome to join as a member. And then this will be a really good place that we can keep you up to date on other progress that we're making with this initiative as the months go by.
Excellent. And Christy asked, what are your next plans? Or should we just keep an eye on the SharePoint for those?
Well, it's really great, like a movie trailer to get you all to come back or to get you to go to the teams. But next plans definitely include more of those roundtable conversations. It's really a dialogue. Like we said, really, these are your voices being heard and that we can take it to leadership and we can come up with a proposal. The whole goal and idea is to create a formal proposal to submit to university leadership. And thank you for those of you that did the survey. I think really we want to take data. We're data people. We work in research. We want to take that data and then make informed proposals to the university for what this community would like to see moving forward.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Haley and Trisha. Now I will go ahead and pass the baton to Heike Newman to talk about the IND and IDE office. So Heike, take it away.
Thank you so much, Erin. Hang on, let me just change my presentation to presentation mode. Bear with me for a moment, please. Hang on, I need to turn this off for a second. Okay, I'm back. Everyone see the screen with the IND IDE program slide?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Erin. Most of you probably know me, Heike Newman. I'm the new, I'm the program director for the new IND IDE office. And we wanted to give everyone just a quick update as to where we are and what the important things are that you need to know, because I get pretty much daily emails from people that seem to be super excited about somebody else finally doing all these submissions to the FDA. And I feel bad that I need to tell pretty much everyone, wait, hold your horses, we're not quite there yet. So I think we need to give just a quick update as to where we are and what you need to expect. So to start with, I wanted to let you know that we're working fast and furiously, and obviously one of the most important things to have is a clear mission and vision statement. So I am proud to announce that we now have a mission and vision statement. Our mission is to facilitate advancement of CU Anschutz researchers' innovations through expert support and collaboration to manage administrative, regulatory, and safety elements of the product development lifecycle. And our vision, in 10 words, we support novel advances in human health to become reality. So with that said, that was pretty much what we needed really for us to figure out what we are and what we will be doing to really have more of a grounding of our new office that we're still trying to set up. So the things that you need to know is that our plan really is that the IND IDE office at no cost to the PI, will be providing help to define the project's regulatory strategy. Keep in mind that we have a big spectrum of research going on campus, so figuring out when and how to communicate with the FDA and what strategy to use for that will definitely be part of our services that we're providing. We will also be managing and filing all of the communication with FDA throughout the project's regulatory life cycle. So what that means is if you're working on a project where you need to, when you're not quite ready for the IND submission, you have some questions that you want to run past the FDA to kind of finalize maybe your protocol or get some more details that you need in order to flesh out really all the critical details. We will get into the picture with you with a communication to the FDA at the very early point when you want to first talk to the FDA, and we'll be managing all the communication and then file everything on your behalf as well. We will be establishing and training the research team on a standardized electronic regulator folder system. And since we have EREG, that's the system that we're planning on using. I can't predict 100% yet whether EREG will really be ready to be used the way we envision it when our office goes live, but keep in mind that this is really ultimately our goal to use EREG. We will continue to provide guidance and support for all the regulatory questions related to your projects, just like you've pretty much had for the last 10 years when people were working with me. We will be training the teams on all the responsibilities associated with projects under local regulatory sponsorship. And obviously that will include how they need to use the EREG folder, the EREG binder for their project once it is set up, so that we have more of a standardized approach and people actually understand how this needs to be done. We will be verifying the training, and we'll also assist with safety and pharmacovigilance related issues. So this is overall pretty much the big bucket of work that we want to take on as an office. What you also need to know, and let me go to the next slide, is that there will be 2 requirements that will be coming with the IND IDE office. We will be requiring Part 11 compliant EDC system like the Advara EDC that we have on campus for projects that are under local IND or IDE held sponsorship, with some caveats. So we're working out what exactly the criteria are, but you should anticipate that there may be a cost associated with that particular part of the requirements. And we will also require study monitoring, probably through CREST. Again, it will depend on certain criteria, and we're figuring out exactly what these criteria will be. And there will be a cost associated with that too. So those are the 2 things that you need to keep in mind, that the implementation of the new office will come with some requirements that have a cost factor associated with them. The logistics, there will be a single point of entry for all projects that will require interaction with the FDA. So you will not have to go and, find different places or websites or portals or whatever that tell you what you need to do. There will be one single entry where everything that could possibly be requiring any interactions with the FDA will be going through, and then we will funnel, we will channel the requests that come in based on certain criteria that we're still defining, and we'll communicate what they are. We're still planning on having the office open for business July 1st of this year. So there's not a lot of time. We're working fast and furious, what it seems like to us at least, probably painfully slow for everyone else. But we're really trying to get the processes and everything together to really be functioning and open for business July 1st. So the important thing that I want to make sure everyone knows, if you're planning on requesting funding for in the upcoming months now for new projects, and you anticipate that these projects may require a locally held IND or IDE, please get in touch with me so that we can talk about these items that may have a cost associated with it, so that you can include that cost into your budget, into your funding request. With that being said, I can tell you that we now have a real team as of last week. I'm really super excited. It's no longer just Ben, Heike, and Megan anymore. We actually have real people now in addition to us. Yesterday, we had our pharmacovigilance specialist starting with us, Monica Manick, and I'll introduce her at a later point to all of you. And we do have 2 other positions that are filled. The offer has been accepted, but the individuals have not started yet. So I can't really introduce them yet, but we do have an org chart with more than just 3 people, which I think is super exciting. We also have 2 medical directors now, Dr. Jennifer Armstrong and Dr. Cecilia Lowang. They will have different functions, different roles and responsibilities within our office. And I'm not going to give you a whole lot of details on their background, but I can tell you they have fabulous and absolutely appropriate background for the roles that we're asking them to take on. We will have all of the information about their background on our website. But I wanted to at least show you the faces and give you the names. So if Dr. Cecilia Lowang or Jennifer Armstrong are included in any communication that we may have with you, it's because they're part of our team now and actually have a medical director role. So this is Dr. Cecilia Lowang and Jennifer Armstrong. And we hope to have them come for a presentation at the Research Connections, I believe in August. Can't remember for sure, but I think it was in August. August, right, Megan? Okay. And
Correct.
then contact information. If you need anything, if you have any questions, if there are any questions about the cost and the funding, your requests and things like that, get in touch with me. My email address is here. Megan Schmidt, I know many of you have worked with Megan in the meantime too. You can reach out to her, and we do have a general email account now to the ind.ide.office@cuanschutz.edu. You can always email to that location as well. And we do have a website, but it's not quite ready for prime time just yet. But by next month, we'll probably have an announcement about the website where a lot of information will be housed. And that's pretty much it for me. Are there any questions?
Heike, this is Natasha. I'd just like to put in a plug. You did a great job presenting all of this. And there's also additional information, kind of the summary in Dr. Flagg's research bulletin that went out this morning. So I encourage you all to look at that. There's other information, other upcoming events and funding information. It's a great resource tool for more information. So thank you.
Perfect. So we're trying to make additional announcements to the community and different audiences within the community over the next few months. We're just trying to figure out what the best venues are and how to spread it out so that we can reach the most people to let them know that we're up and coming and what they need to know about the program and how to get in touch with us.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Heike. Are there any other questions for Heike or about the IND or IDE office? All right. Well, thank you again, Heike, for discussing your new office with us. I think that this is going to just bring a whole additional level of support to these tricky regulatory submissions. And Haley has shared that if anyone would like to be added to the Workforce Development CU Anschutz Clinical Research Community Teams, please let her know and she can add you directly. So if there are no further questions about the IDE office, I will go and pass it over to Natasha and Matt for updates on the research studies website and newsletter for our final presentation for the day.
Thank you, Erin. We'll be talking about the research studies website and newsletter. Usually we do about a quarterly lunch and learn on this topic, but it's been a little while, so we thought it'd be a good time to refresh everybody's knowledge of not only the steps to get on the research studies website and the newsletter, but some ins and outs, some tips and tricks and stuff like that. So without further ado, Introductions, just real quick. My name is Matthew Steinbeiss. I'm a project manager with the Office of Regulatory Compliance. I'm here with Natasha Palmer.
And I'm the Director of Communications for Research at the Office of Regulatory Compliance and University Research. And Matt and I have been involved in this since the beginning.
Yeah, this resource is a little more than 4 years old, I believe. It came on just a little bit before I came on as my position. Today we'll be talking about, we'll give a little demo of the website, talk about the admin portal, which is kind of the back door to be able to edit your posting, your research studies posting, go through some guidance documents, and also talk about, some of you may be receiving emails that saying I'm interested in your research study and not knowing where they came from. So go over those a little bit, as well as Natasha's going to talk about the newsletter, some tips and tricks for that, and just some overall information about the newsletter. So we just have a couple screenshots of the research studies website just to show you the front page. The research is separated by numerous different categories, but you can also search in a Google-like search field and find the study for you for specific disease types, or if you know the Comer number, which not many lay people do, but for research coordinators and people on the research studies team, if you just want to search for your study by the Comer number, you can do so in that field and get to it quite quickly. This is an example of a pretty well set up research studies page for the Spotlight study. They have a specific picture that represents what the study is about. They have a great PI picture. Most of these are preloaded from the CU Docs website, but this is something that you can add if you have a different picture of your PI, or your PI doesn't like their specific picture, as well as a description of the study, age range, eligibility, type of study, scope, compensation. So you can do a lot of pre-screening for the people visiting this website without having to make an extended phone call and talk about the research before you start the consent process. And as well as there's a bunch of information on the website for lay people that aren't used to research or don't have very much research knowledge, that goes through the base knowledge, high overview of what a research study is, what happens when you participate in research study. A lot of contact information for the Office of Regulatory Compliance is in there as well, so people can reach out if they have questions or issues with their research study. So I'm going to go over some tip sheets just because it has some great overview knowledge, and then we'll do a deeper dive into the actual nuts and bolts of the admin portal. So I'm going to switch over to Adobe here real quick. So one of the primary tip sheets that you should probably start with is this tip sheets for research studies. This is mainly guided to the research studies that are in Encore already. The research studies was built as an automated feed from Encore. As long as your study is in there, has a study status of currently recruiting, and there's also a field that says omit from web. If that's marked yes, it blocks the data feed and your study will not show up on the site. If it's marked no, and you have built the set feeds for your Encore onboarding, everything automatically shows up on the research studies website based on what's in Encore. Like this, how this says, the study is through the set feed, the study information portal, and it includes major fields such as PI, title, object, etc. A good thing about this document, we'll send this out to everybody on the call today, but it also has down here where the study information comes from and where you can locate the stuff in the Encore fields. Most of it's under the PC console. Some of it is due in the SIP configuration. So this is a great thing to look over at first, as well as how to reach out to us. Our email is researchstudies@cu.anschutz.edu. We try to get back to people within 24 to 48 hours. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer depending on workload, But a couple things I want to show as well is what it looks like when a potential volunteer reaches out through the research studies website. So back to PowerPoint. So there's this Let's Get Started button on all these research studies. When a potential participant clicks on that, it goes to collect demographic information, as you can see here. And then the PI and or the primary contact listed in Encore will receive this email message. It comes from Research Studies website, Research Studies at Anschutz.edu, and shows you have a potential research participant. So you can do some pre-screening based on their demographic information provided. We do request that even if they screen out, that you still reach back to them to let them know that they're not a potential, or they may be potential in the future if you have a different study with different demographic screening information. But this, if you see an email come through your inbox like this, it's not spam. It's somebody that's looked at your research study on the Research Studies website and was interested in it, and it's asking you to reach out to them. Secondly, we're going to talk about the admin portal of the Research Studies website. The URL is right here, and this is just a screenshot of what it looks like. I'll go through it specifically in on Firefox real quick, but I wanted to go back to our tip sheets because there's two tip sheets. So this initial tip sheet, mainly Encore based. As you know, just recently within the last year or two, we've added a functionality that if your study is not in Encore and has no plans to be in Encore, that's a really specific caveat, you can add it manually. One big note is if your study is in Encore, even if it doesn't have a study status of currently enrolling, it can confuse the SIP feed, that's IP feed. And if you try to add a study, but it's already in Encore, it probably won't let you because it is sharing a similar COMERB number. So if you run into that problem, just make sure your study, if it's in Encore, to go through the steps of setting up a SIP feed. It's much easier, much more streamlined than adding via the admin portal. An important thing about that as well is in the admin portal, when you add a study manually, it's got a 2-month expiration date. That's because we're not able to set an expiration date of when studies are not enrolling anymore. So it's a way to keep all the study teams up and checking this to make sure their study site, if it's added manually, is up to date, is currently enrolling. And if you don't interact with the website, and you added it manually, your study is going to expire. And just to make sure you're checking on that, because we're not sure when it's going to expire. It has to be some arbitrary date, and it was chosen as 2 months. So this admin tool, it's the second study document or helpful document that we have, is how to use the admin tool. One is to log in here. It's this URL will be shared, and you'll be able to see if your study is currently in Encore and has a study of open to accrual. The study should appear there. As long as you're a primary contact, the PI, or you were added as an editor, those can be reasons why you might not be able to see your study if you're not the primary contact in Encore. Please note that the site administrators will need to approve or review study changes, and everything that you change on the Research Studies website has to be IRB approved, whether it's COMERB or your IRB of record, say WERB. They have specific forms that you need to fill out to make sure that what you're changing matches and is approved, COMERB approved. So let's go over, you can read the rest of these kind of guidance document portions when we send these out, but I wanted to go straight into the Research Studies admin portal. So again, you reach it via this som.cuanschutz.edu/research studies. Yours is going to look a lot different from mine because I have like everybody's study in here. You should only see a couple of studies or maybe even one study if that's the only study you're on and is on the website right now. So if you log in and you haven't customized your study at all, it will be under here in the select a study. Again, you won't have as many studies as me. This is the 1,000 studies that are currently on the site. But in order to edit the study, you just click on, if this is your study, and you click on the customize study button. You can also add an editor. So if you are not the primary contact in Encore, you can have the primary contact or the PI add you as an editor. One thing about that is you do have to have an email address that ends in cu.anschutz.edu. That's one caveat to being able to be an editor in the admin portal. Also, when you go on customize study, you have to provide the IRB study approved advertisement. This is located on COMERB's website. If you just Google COMERB forms, they have a whole site with their forms. It's at the bottom, and it's called an advertising component submission form. So you add it here, and that will allow you to access the study to be able to edit it. If you are not in Encore and have no plans to be on Encore throughout your study, you can add a study manually. The caveats to this is you have to have that advertisement IRB form that we talked about before, and it has to be currently enrolling. So let's go through as if we're doing this. I have a document here. Your IRB document will look something like this, and then it opens up more instructions. So minor deviations from the IRB approved language are okay, big deviations are not. So changing the study title is usually encouraged because a lot of our study titles are through the NIH, and they're big, long titles that aren't 7th grade language where most of this should be directed. So it's a good idea if you have a study title in mind that makes more sense to lay people, you can submit that to COMERB for approval and use that as your study title instead of your big, long, super sciencey study title that you probably have already. So in order to add a study, it does have to have COMERB or IRB approval. You add a title here. Adding your primary objective is really good. Again, unless it's super sciencey, we're aiming for 7th or 8th grade language here. So make this as lay as possible. There's actually a couple websites out there that you can enter your language, and it can check the reading level of what your language is and help you with that as well. I'll go through this a little bit quicker because we're running out of time. But you can add description in your procedures and what you're looking at for the duration of your participation. If it's a year long, if it's a month long, etc. You can add multiple categories, but make sure this selected category is what your main category is. So if it is a dental study, make sure it's there, but it could also be dental and diabetes. You put your subcategory over there. You can change these images. We have default images based on your categories, but if you get an IRB approved image, you can add it here. Please do not add your study flyer here. This is not where study flyers go. There's a part to put study flyers down below. It's an attached file right here, such as study flyers and brochures. But you can add a red cap link, a primary contact email. A lot of information is addable here. You submit it within 24 to 48 hours. If we're not overloaded, your study should be approved. If it's not approved, there will be notes of why it's not, such as you didn't add your COMERB approval letter, there's something wrong with the verbiage that you put in, etc., etc. So moving back to the PowerPoint, that is how to use the admin portal. And now we're going over to Natasha, and we'll talk about after your study is up on the Research Studies website, you can submit to be in the research newsletter. But again, the prerequisite to be in the newsletter is that the study must be on the Research Studies website.
Thanks, Matt. I was just putting in the chat the link to where all the newsletters are archived. And on that page, there's information at the very top that talks about how you submit your information so that it can be included in an upcoming issue. Currently, the research studies newsletter is distributed on the first and third Wednesday of the month. That cadence has been working really well. If you guys have questions or concerns, please reach out to us. As Matt mentioned, the link to the form stack is provided upon request. In the chat, I put more information to where everything's archived, and you might want to bookmark that if you have studies that are actively recruiting. If you're involved in more than one protocol, you can find that information really quickly, or you can just email us at researchstudies@cuanschutz.edu, and we can forward that to you. So 2 important things to note. As I mentioned, it comes out on the first and third Wednesday of the month. We synthesize the information that comes through on the form stack. And like Matt just said, it's really important that your information is up to date and current and at a 6th grade reading level of sorts, so that we can pull that information and share that and put it into the newsletter. I think, yeah. And so this is a screenshot of what it actually looks like. Sometimes folks are a little confused as to how the process works. It's pretty straightforward. If you look at the highlighted section there, an example of a research study that gets featured. So a brief description. Again, if we can make simple language, I think it makes it easier for everyone. We've been getting really good feedback from folks that they've seen increases in study participants because of the promotion of using this newsletter. So that's always good to hear. And again, just following out, having your IRB number and uploading the flyer is helpful. As Matt mentioned, just making sure that all the fields are filled in correctly on the admin tool. For some reason, not everybody recognizes that that admin tool is there. And if you have other colleagues in your groups that aren't on this call today, please feel free to share that information along to them so that they know that this resource is available. But it's pretty straightforward, and we like to have the information as soon as you have it, and just kind of keeping in mind that it comes out on the first and third Wednesday. That doesn't mean you send us your information like at 5 o'clock on Tuesday and think that it's going to get in the next day. So we appreciate if you could plan accordingly. That would help us all. I think that's it. I know we've got 2 minutes. The email again and the websites are in the chat. Feel free to email us if you have any questions with the 2 minutes we have left. We are here.
I do have a question. Matt, thank you for showing that. So it looked like the research participant has to provide their gender, race, and ethnicity. And I wonder if you can help me understand why that might be needed in terms of screening for research studies. Why would the participant on their end need to actually provide that information?
Yeah, it's not a necessarily required field, but it's more for collation, getting the data collated overall for the university. So it's not directly for the research study, but some research studies do have gender restrictions in enrollment. It can be a female only study, it can be a male only study. But the other demographic information like zip code, race, ethnicity, etc., is for an overall data collection of who's actually using the study, and if we are doing our best due diligence to be including DEI related targeted research, or if we're kind of missing the mark on that as well.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Yeah, and another caveat to that is in that admin portal, if you do have a research study, you can look at the collated information based on that study. So if you're only getting participants from a certain zip code, a certain race, ethnicity, age, that's could be important information to your recruiting. And that information is available to people that are in the admin portal.
Great, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. We are at time, so we will go ahead and sign off for the day. But have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you hopefully next month. And thank you very much again to all of our presenters.
Thanks,